Salutations! This is the second episode. Yes, it's a movie because those are easier to do. So this one is going to be about, what is it about? It's about Michael Clayton. No, not Michael Clayton. It is about The Wolf of Wall Street. No, it's not about that one. It's about, what is that called? The Killers of the Flower Moon. That's what it is. Marty Scorsese made a movie. It's about a book. It's the longest movie in history. I had to watch it in 16 sittings, actually, and mostly while I was driving, just so I could get through this whole thing. But it turns out, oh my god, it turns out that it's actually kind of enjoyable. I didn't feel like I lost interest in it at any point. I thought it was a unique setup and all that stuff. So it's because I had accidentally been paying for Apple Plus for the last 2 years or something like that. And I had never used it, and so I just canceled it, but it has a few more days left. So I'm trying to watch all the Apple Plus stuff that I can before it's canceled, so I can try to get my money's worth. So I just 24 hours I have Apple Plus content playing. But the only thing that I really like on Apple Plus is the Macbeth movie with Denzel Washington. He's not the ideal Scottish person, but he's amazing in it. He's so good. I think I did an episode about Macbeth. It was so good. It's gorgeous. He is amazing. So much of it is just done so perfectly, and he delivers really well. Frances McDormand's awesome. Although I don't see the chemistry between those two. I think they could have got somebody else for that. But she nails it. He nails it. I don't need to be talking about this. Killers of the Flower Moon. So if you've not heard of it, it's a movie by Martin Scorsese. It's about Native American. I don't like that term, Native Americans. We said Indians, even though that was the wrong name for them because they're not from India. But then we said Native Americans, which it wasn't America. That's a reference to something that is the oppressor of them. So it'd be better to call them Indians. At least that's just something else entirely. We need a new name for them. I'm not learning the tribes. Don't give me that nonsense. Weren't there lots of tribes? I know Apache. Isn't that a helicopter? Anyway, so the movie Killers of the Flower Moon, it's about Leo DiCaprio, and he is going into this place. It's a reserve, it's where it's nothing but casinos. So he's going into this place, and all of the Native American families in this area, they've got a whole bunch of money because they got like compensated or something for oil that was found on the premises. So he's got this uncle, Robert De Niro, and who's a little shady, and they have this plan. They hatch this plan, and the plan is that Leo, being so charismatic and good-looking and funny and all that stuff, and a wealthy movie star, since he's all those things, he's going to go seduce one of the females who has rights to a bunch of this money and property and stuff, and get married. This is Uncle's idea. This is his uncle's urging. He says, no, it'd be good to have it in the family. So if you meet one of these Native American ladies and they've got that hotness and you want to bang that and then you can get married to it, then you can get the money. We can keep it in the family. It'll be great for all of us. So just go do that. So Leo, and in this, he looks the worst he's ever looked in his life. He's the least attractive that probably a male movie star has ever been. I was going to say excluding Steve Buscemi, but that is so mean. That is really... He's not a bad-looking guy. Did you see him in... what's it called? What was that one show called? It was a successor to The Sopranos. It wasn't really a successor, but it was like that. And it was set in the Prohibition era or something. Breaking Bad. That's what it was. So, So when he was in Breaking Bad, he's a handsome guy. And he gets that one hot chick who banged Ewan McGregor in Trainspotting. So if you can get that girl, I mean, he's a good-looking guy. Anyway, why am I explaining? That was my joke. I was the one who decided to say it. And I'm all outraged. Anyway, yeah, so Leo looks horrible. He's just hideous. And his hair is parted in the center, and it looks weird. He's got this weird jaw area and a chubby face and not in great shape. I don't think he's in great shape in general in life anyway. But regardless, he just does not look good. But he turns out to be this Native American lady's driver, and it's like driving Miss Daisy, where she's a curmudgeon and he's black. And so they get to talking, and just like in Driving Miss Daisy, they end up having sex at some point. And so this is one of the things, is that it seems genuine that he just falls in love with this woman, and she falls in love with him. There's some really kind of toned down romantic moments between them, which I kind of appreciated. It was different. She's not some well-known actress, not Meryl Streep in in Redface or whatever, but it's just a new actress who's Native American, and I think she's likable. She's not an especially great actress, but she's just a likable person in general. I just found myself liking her, period. Pause. But so I just liked her. So she's going through this whole thing and getting to know her driver, and they start having sex and they get married. And wait, I don't know if that happens in that order. Actually, this is a long time ago. Maybe it went the other direction. Whatever. They end up married, and so he has access to her rights when it comes to the oil and stuff on the land. But then she's got a bunch of her family and extended family who are also going through the same thing. There's this one moment where they're all talking about marrying guys and white guys and some of the pitfalls, like they can't dance and their food is really bland. And so they're talking about this stuff and being worried about how some of the white guys are just after the money. And some of them just acknowledge it, that that's probably what they're after. And some of them say, no, he really loves you. And so it's totally fine for you to go with it. So it's just this kind of thing that's going on. But then, twist, then we get inciting incidents all over the place because some of the Native Americans start ending up murdered or dead otherwise. And so you're wondering, okay, why are they ending up dead? How is this happening? And you surmise, because you are a brilliant movie watcher, that it has something to do with the property and the rights that they have to the oil and stuff. Oh my gosh, this is what's going to happen, and it's going through that, and you're trying to figure this stuff out. And then you've got a lot of them have medical issues, a bunch of medical issues that they're dealing with. One guy's really suicidal, and Leo's wife is getting sicker and sicker over time as they're having children and stuff. But then, as it goes along, then you find out that maybe everything is not as it seems. Maybe some things are different than the things that you thought they were. So then, that being the case, oh my gosh, well, this is crazy. And you start learning that it's actually Leo and Robert De Niro who are plotting a lot of these things, because just the heirs and assigns will flow back to the wife of Leo. And so they'll get much more when it comes to compensation and rights to the oil and property and stuff if they can bump off these different Native American ladies who have access to who have the rights to it now. So they're all plotting, and he's constantly giving his wife this diabetes medicine. Now, I don't know how much I missed as I was going through. I think I was doing something else in the midst of watching it, like sewing or something. So that may have distracted me a little bit, but I'm not sure where you found the revelation of whether Leo knew that he was giving something poison, because he was supposed to be giving her insulin, for her diabetes, but she just kept getting worse and worse and worse. And so they kept saying, no, just, give it time. You're going to get better. You're going to get better. And time would keep going. That happened in Rosemary's Baby too. I just watched that. What is that parallel? There's something significant there. Okay, well, maybe making an association between a white and Native American mixed baby and a baby of Satan is probably not the best thing to do. So I'm going to redact any kind of reference to Rosemary's Baby. Although Mia Farrow was adorable in that, let me say. Moving on from that minefield, I will talk about the fact that I wasn't sure if Leo knew that he was giving poisonous insulin to his wife, and it was at the urging of Robert De Niro, or if he didn't know because he actually did love his wife, and he was legitimately just trying to help her. I should have watched this a couple of times before I talked about it, actually. I'm just realizing. So anyway. But a lot of the cinematography was really cool. The costuming, the set design. It really felt like you were in that era and going through these things. So it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun to watch that. But anyway, you go through this, and eventually this guy shows up. A guy who I've seen in other movies, because he's an actor, so he plays multiple characters. But I don't remember the actor's name. But anyway, he shows up at the door after somebody gets murdered. So, so Leo was supposed to... did I say spoilers? I don't think I said spoilers. If you didn't notice, spoilers. So I'll try to remember to put spoilers in big letters in the title, just to make sure. So the FBI guy shows up at the door and he's, what the heck's the FBI? Leo is, what the heck's the FBI? And apparently it's a new thing at this point, federal investigators. And so this one shows up and he's, yeah, we're looking into these murders because Leo hired somebody to go do this murder. But the guy was supposed to make it look like a suicide because the guy was suicidal. So it would have been pretty easy, to get away with it if you just make it vaguely look like a suicide. But the guy rolls up and shoots him in the back of the head and then takes the gun with him. So that's a really difficult argument. Yeah, he wants to kill himself. He shoots himself in the back of the head and then tosses the gun far enough for you not to be able to find it. Or while he was in transit or something. I don't know how that would work. So that's a really difficult argument. So there are some good attorneys out there, for sure. But when it comes to that particular circumstance, you're making it really hard on them. And you're just going to have to pay more in the hourly while they're trying to figure that out. So the guy gets shot in the back of the head, and they're coming in, the FBI is coming in to figure out what's going on with all these deaths and murders of Native Americans with a lot of property rights. Like, this doesn't wash. So we're going to have to figure this one out. So much of the movie toward the end is made up of Leo, whether he's going to testify against his uncle or not, and what his uncle can do to try to prevent him from doing that. So there's a lot of back and forth, and Leo at one point is, no, I'm gonna stick with my uncle, and I'm not gonna testify against him, and I'll just take what I have to take. And then his wife gets sicker, so then he's okay, no, and some other stuff happens to his family. So then he says, no, I have to get out to my wife, so I'm just gonna make a deal and testify against my uncle, and just go from there. And so it's back and forth. Eventually, Leo decides, no, I'm sticking with my wife. And I'm going to do what I have to do for her. And so he testifies, and his uncle goes to prison, and he gets a deal. And then he's talking to his wife toward the end. And she's, you were giving me that stuff the whole time. Did you know that it was poison? Because now she's doing a lot better. Because after he went to prison, she stopped taking that and went to a real doctor and tried to figure out what was going on. So he says, no, of course I didn't know, but she doesn't believe him. And again, this is another point. I think that he knew, and I think that he was in on it, but I'm not actually totally sure because he seems sincere sometimes related to his family. So anyway, eventually he has a brother who's involved in this stuff too, but he doesn't get arrested or anything. And he ends up moving out with his brother into this trailer thing, and she divorces him, and it just goes on from there, life-wise. And then the biggest twist of all, she was dead the whole time. No. It was a real story. All this stuff really happened. This was something, there were all this rash of murders of Native Americans who had rights to these oil profits that happened in, I think it was Osage County. These sisters, multiple of them were being killed, and what is going on here? So they had to send in the feds to figure it out. And Leo DiCaprio, they really ordered these hits on these people, his uncle, and Leo DiCaprio's character was actually involved in this stuff and did end up just living in a trailer somewhere. But Robert De Niro's character got imprisoned forever, I think. And then it just turned out that they were all jerk dickhead criminals. And you shouldn't do that, okay? I don't feel it should be necessary to say this, but I'm going to say it anyway. You should not order the murder of innocent people so that you can gain rights to oil profits, okay? Are we clear on that one? That is not something that you should do. It's bad. Okay, great. I'm going to look up what actually happened. Yeah, 1920s, real series of murders. The only thing that annoys me about this movie, because overall, like, I've only watched it once. I don't know how great it is, really. But I've only watched it once. The only thing that annoys me about this movie is that I think it's a grand, generalized political statement. It still has particulars, and it's more complex than the last one we talked about, Men. It's not just propaganda, because it has some characters, it has some plot points, it has some more interesting stuff going on. And there are some flourishes by Martin Scorsese, which are really great, because you remember that he's a legit filmmaker, even through all the years, and all the other filmmakers who have fallen by the wayside and forgot how to do what they do, or were hacks the whole time. You realize Scorsese he's a legit filmmaker, and you appreciate that a lot. But it does kind of seem like a grand indictment of just America in general. It's supposed to be some kind of representative case of how evil white men are and what they do to the poor, oppressed peoples. because I don't remember any kind of moral ambiguity related to the non-white peoples. The white people who are represented here are so monstrous, it's way over the top. Robert De Niro's character and Leo DiCaprio's character, at least Leo DiCaprio's character, you might see some ambiguity in whether he was trying to murder his wife or whether he loved them or not. But otherwise, like, this is incredibly monstrous stuff to do. To slowly poison your wife over time so you can get rights to her oil. And then all the other white men who were married to the other sisters were horrible too. They were like abusive and just couldn't wait to murder people. And it seems a little on the nose politically to just be a coincidence. You just want to tell this story now and it's not supposed to have any political significance. I don't think that's the case. I think although the commie Hollywood folks, they love to get these kinds of ideas across, and sometimes they do it a little more subtly, like in this, and sometimes not so subtly, like in Men. But either way, at least this one has artistic merit, and there's some other stuff going on. Again, that's on one viewing. If I watch it again, who knows if I actually like it or not. But you gots to appreciate Marty Scorsese. Still trying to do stuff when he's 70s or something. I'm going to look that up. I'm going to look it up. I can do that now. He's 81? Oh my gosh. But yeah, so he's 81 now, but he's still doing it. Making intricate films at his age. Anyway, yeah, I think that's what I wanted to say about Killers of the Flower Moon. If, seriously, anybody who's listening to this, if you have more complex things that you want to say about this movie, because you've read about it or seen it a couple of times, then have at it and I will read it so that I can understand more about it. But it is a relatively straightforward story. So, yeah, anyway. Killers of the Flower Moon, Marty Scorsese, Leo DiCaprio, Robert De Niro, and a bunch of unnamed people. So, thank you very much. I hope all is well. I'll see you on the next one.